Before we crack open tonight's cursed can of content, I just want to say a big thank you to all our subscribers, and an extra sinister shout out to the loyal members of the Sinister Elite. You legends help keep the darkness alive. If you're enjoying the stories and want to take it a step further, hit that like button, make sure you're subscribed, and consider joining the Sinister Elite by clicking that join button below. Members get access to creepy custom emojis and exclusive Sinister Elite badges that level up the longer you survive with us. It's like loyalty, but spookier. All right, lights off, headphones in, and let's summon something we'll all regret. When you tell people you work nights at a cemetery, they picture Celtic crosses and thunder. When you tell them it's a pet cemetery, they picture me scooping ghost poop. For the record, only one of those is true. It's the thunder. Kansas gets spicy skies. I took the job because my rent jumped like a startled rabbit, and because the old groundskeeper, Mr. Kettle, waved a set of keys and said, "All you gotta do is follow the rules and don't get sentimental." He meant the index card he slid across the office desk. Coffee ring bullseye over, "Do not look at the hill." The office smelled like wet grass and flea shampoo. A shelf behind him sagged under shoebox urns hand-labeled in wobbly marker. Sugar plum, tank, pickles, Sir Scoots. This place was love and grief with chew marks. By sundown, the sky turned the color of a healing bruise. I locked the iron gate and checked both padlocks twice, because the last thing I wanted was to get fired on night 1 for violating Rule 1. The path lamps, those cute shepherd's hook things you'd put along a driveway, clicked on with a warm glow. The graves were small and close and decorated with half-bleached photos, rain-stained ribbons, a cracked tennis ball or two. Some had wind chimes. I made a joke in my head about the chimes being the bark side of the moon, and then told myself to stop making jokes out loud in case anything heard me. At 11:57 p.m., I caught my first test. A plastic bowl of kibble sat near the fence, probably left by a grieving kid earlier. Rule 2 glared up at me from my pocket. No food after midnight. The temptation to ignore it was strong. I mean, how dangerous could kibble be? But my landlord doesn't take the undead ate my security deposit as an excuse, so I dumped the kibble into the trash can inside the office and rinsed the bowl. When I came back out, the wind had shifted, bringing that cut grass smell and a different note underneath. Wet fur? The lamps hummed. One of them, by the weeping willow labeled Miggy. "Good boy," stuttered. On off, on off, on. I hustled over with a fresh bulb and swapped it before it could hit flicker number 3. Rule 5, done like a speed run. I congratulated myself exactly long enough to hear my name. Jamie. Just my name, like a soft bark, like the syllable caught in a throat. Not a human voice. It was the precise sound of my childhood dog, a black lab named Rocket, when he wanted me to wake up for cartoons. Warm, hopeful, impossible. Rule 3 landed like a snowball down my shirt. If you hear your name meowed, barked, chirped, or whispered, do not answer. I clamped my mouth shut so hard my teeth clicked. I turned very slowly away from the willow, using my peripheral like it was a riot shield. Don't pet anything. Don't call to anything. Don't chase anything. I walked. Jamie? The second bark bent into a question, higher, closer, tail thump invisible. My hand drifted traitorously toward where a head might be. I shoved it into my pocket and squeezed the index card hard enough to smudge the ink. I made it to the main path, eyes on the office, and almost plowed into the little white fence that rings the low hill at the center of the cemetery. I didn't realize where I'd wandered until my brain supplied the clock time. 1:12 a.m., 1 minute before Rule 6 hour. Oh, come on, I breathed, and backed away, keeping my gaze on my boots. The hill hummed. Not the earth, something in the air. Static on a wool sweater. Up on that rise, the tiny fence gleamed milk white, a bad tooth in the mouth of the dark. Do not look at the hill between 1:13 to 1:17 a.m. The index card radiated heat in my pocket like it knew I was about to be stupid. Somewhere to my left, behind a headstone shaped like a bone, something moved. A tail? A shadow more shadowy than the rest. The path lamp sang its little electric whine. The wind chimes behind me started tinkling in patterns not randomly. I thought of Mr. Kettle's final instruction, the one not written. Don't get sentimental. My heart answered with a parade of every pet I've ever loved. The office clock thunked over to 1:13 with the soft click of a breaking habit. I shut my eyes and focused on the ground, counted my steps back toward the path. The humming increased, a bee swarm behind glass. There came the unmistakable sound of a collar tag jingling, then another and another, until it was a tiny orchestra. Whispers threaded the collars. Names, commands. Sit, stay, heel. Spoken in voices I didn't recognize. Owners? The air smelled like rain and backyard, cut hose water and sunshine on dog hair in July. My chest did the stupid thing where it tries to break open for the past. I stepped on something soft and cold. Not mud. A leash lay coiled at my feet like a patient snake. Before I could move, it wound itself around my right wrist. A witch knot. Quick and neat. Rule 10. If a leash wraps itself around your wrist, don't pull. Walk to the gate, hang it on the post, and wait. It tugged, gentle as a suggestion, toward the hill. Nah, I whispered, because if I didn't speak I was going to cry, and if I cried I was going to look. I let the leash lead, but I turned my body the opposite way, feet tracking grooves I hoped were mine. Each step away from the hill felt like stepping out of a current. The jingling faded, the humming thinned. Whatever wanted me to see something up there would have to want harder. When the clock rolled to 1:18, the air normalized, like a pressure door opening. The leash slackened. I walked it to the gate like I was escorting a ghost golden retriever after a vet visit. I hung the loop on the iron post. It pulsed once and went still, collapsing into plain rope. I stood there catching my breath, cheeks hot, trying to laugh it off. Night 1, and the cemetery had already tried the childhood dog gambit. Classic, dirty pool. Behind me, a lamp by the far fence flickered once. Twice. I bolted, bulb in hand. The fixture sat above a small granite marker with a cat silhouette and the name Biscuit. The lamp gave its third stutter just as I got there, and went out. Darkness surged like a wave. I twisted the new bulb into place, but in the dark my fingers misjudged the threads. The bulb fell, hit the stone, and didn't shatter. It rolled. Around the top of the marker, faint and wet, were paw prints. Tiny, fresh. They led in from the outer grass through the fence slats and right up to Biscuit's grave. Rule 8. If you find fresh paw prints coming in from outside, dust them with salt and brush them back out through the gate. I'd laughed at that one when I read it, picturing myself salting the earth like a witchy French fry. I wasn't laughing now. I fetched the salt tin from the office with the reverence of a guy disarming a bomb, sprinkled a trail back toward the gate, and brushed with the little corn broom Mr. Kettle left by the door. As the prints backed away over my salt, they seemed to fade, each step more memory than mark, until at the gate, they simply weren't. When I turned back, the lamp over Biscuit flared to life on its own. It lit an extra headstone that hadn't been there earlier. Simple granite, no toys, no ribbon, no photo. Just a name I didn't want to see. Rocket. My breath stuttered. My mouth said a word. I don't know if it was no or his name. I don't know if the cemetery counted that as answering. All I know is the wind chimes went still. Every cricket and darby shut up at once, and from the new grave came a single delicate scratch. The sound of a dog who was always so polite about doors. I backed away and didn't stop until my spine clicked against the office door. Inside, the ledger lay open where I'd left it. An ink line had appeared on the bottom of the page with tonight's date. Caretaker present, Jamie Wells. Observation: count graves at sunrise. It didn't sign Mr. Kettle's name. The signature space was a pressed print of a cat's paw. The index card didn't say what would happen if I broke a rule. It only said not to, which is scarier, honestly, because my brain filled in the blank with about 100 ways to die, and half of them involved being licked to death by ghost puppies. By 2:30 a.m., I was pacing the office, staring at the ledger. My name sat there in neat block letters I definitely didn't write, above the paw print. The paw print hadn't faded. It looked wet, fresh. I nudged the page with a pencil eraser, and the print shimmered like an oil slick. The pencil eraser came away damp. I decided to stay inside the office, windows shut, door locked, until sunrise. But the rules didn't say hide in the office. They said do your job. And if there's one thing horror movies teach, it's that hiding never works. At exactly 3:07 a.m., a soft thump rattled the screen door. My stomach dropped. I knew the rule by heart. A white cat with one green eye and one blue will visit. Open the ledger and let it press a paw to the page. Don't touch it. I cracked the door, and there it was. Snow-white fur glowing like a lamp, mismatched eyes drilling into me. It hopped onto the desk without hesitation and planted one paw square on the ledger. The ink swirled beneath its pads into a perfect stamp. I swear it smirked. Then it looked over its shoulder like it expected me to follow. Hard pass, I whispered, hands on my knees, because if I crouched down, I might be dumb enough to pet it, and then I'd be Rule 4 roadkill. The cat leapt down and slunk out the door, tail curling like a question mark. For a minute, nothing happened. Then the scratching started. Not one scratch, not a polite knock. This was claws on every surface at once. Desks, door frame, floorboards, a sound like 100 mice trying to carve their way in. My breath hitched. I grabbed the flashlight and cracked the door just enough to shine the beam across the yard. Dozens of pairs of eyes glowed back. Cats, dogs, birds, maybe even a rabbit or two. Shapes moved between graves, tails flicked, wings twitched, and all of them were staring at me. Then, clear as glass, I heard it again. Jamie. Not Rocket this time. A woman's voice. My mother's. Dead 10 years. But she always called me with that exact tone. Like she'd caught me sneaking Pop-Tarts. My throat burned. Mom? Slipped out before I remembered Rule 3. The effect was instant. Every animal head tilted in unison. The lamps around the path guttered. The scratching grew louder, closer, right under my feet like it was tunneling up through the floorboards. I slapped my hands over my mouth and backed into the office. The ledger flipped itself open to a blank page. The white cat sat on the sill now, eyes glowing, tail swishing like a metronome. Words bled across the page in jagged strokes. You answered. The lamp above Rocket's fresh grave went dark. I didn't wait to see what crawled out. I slammed the ledger shut, killed the office light, and pressed my forehead to the cool glass of the window, trying not to breathe too loud. The cemetery was still, but I could hear the jingling of tags again. Closer, closer, like the sound of a leash being dragged across stone. The index card rules blurred in my sweaty hand. I found Rule 7. At sunrise, count the graves. If there's an extra one, don't dig, leave it. I prayed Rocket's grave was the only one waiting for me. The rest of the night, I didn't blink. Dawn in a pet cemetery doesn't look like sunrise in the movies. There's no golden glow or birdsong. It's gray and wet, and the fog settles low enough that every headstone looks taller than it should. I stepped outside with the index card in my pocket, already chanting Rule 7 to myself like a prayer. At sunrise, count the graves. If there's an extra one, don't dig. Leave it. Easy. Just count. The path lamps flickered off one by one as the light grew. A crow landed on the fence post and tilted its head, like it was waiting for me to screw up. I pulled out my notebook to keep track. First row, 11 graves. Second row, 9. Third row, 12. My pen shook, but I forced the math. Rows 4 through 8 were steady, until I hit row 9. Row 9 had always been the children's pets, the ones with stuffed animals slumped beside the stones. I counted carefully, lips moving. 10, 11, 12. 13. I checked again. The new one was squat and clean. No weeds, no faded toys. Granite so polished it reflected my face back at me. The name etched into it stopped my breath. Jamie Wells. Rule 7 screamed in my pocket. If there's an extra, don't dig. Leave it. Every instinct told me to claw that stone out of the ground, to prove it was just a trick, a prank, something explainable. But my fingers trembled around the shovel handle leaning against the willow. I gripped it anyway, knuckles white. Behind me, something padded closer, soft paws on dewy grass. A low whine lifted in the fog, familiar and broken. Rocket. I didn't turn. If I did, I knew I'd see him. Half there, half gone, tail wagging like he'd never left. My chest caved. Stay, I croaked, the same command I'd used as a kid. My voice cracked like glass. The whining stopped. A leash brushed against my ankle, coiling quick as a snake. I froze. Rule 10. If a leash wraps itself around your wrist, don't pull. Walk to the gate, hang it on the post, and wait. Except this wasn't my wrist. It was my leg. Tight. Dragging me toward the new grave. I dropped the shovel, fumbling for the salt tin in my jacket. My hand scattered white grains across the grass in frantic arcs. The leash burned cold against my jeans, then slackened, recoiling into the mist. The crow cawed once, sharp as laughter. When the fog thinned enough to see, the grave still bore my name. But the date of death had filled in. Today. I staggered back, bile in my throat. Mr. Kettle had warned me. Don't get sentimental. He hadn't mentioned the cemetery making advance reservations. The lamps hissed back on though the sun was up, every bulb glowing pale as bone. The ledger back in the office sat open on its own. A new entry in fresh ink. Caretaker counted correctly. The grave remains. Beneath it, the white cat's paw print. I slammed the book shut. I wasn't even halfway through my first week, and the cemetery already had a plot picked out for me. By sunrise, I was shaking so bad I had to two-hand my coffee mug, my name on a headstone, my death date already carved. Rule 7 wasn't just a suggestion. It was a promise. I couldn't keep doing this blind. Mr. Kettle was the one who left me the index card. He had to know what the hell this place was. I dialed his number with hands that didn't feel like mine. It rang 3 times before a gravelly voice picked up. Don't call me about noises, he said. Don't call me about names. You'll last longer. It put my name on a grave. My voice cracked like a teenager's. With today's date, you didn't think that was worth mentioning? A pause. I could hear him breathing. Then, so it's picked you. Picked me? My stomach lurched. What does that mean? The cemetery's hungry, son, he said flatly. Always has been. It doesn't just bury pets. It tries out the caretakers, too. See which ones follow the rules. I gripped the phone so tight it squealed. And if they don't? You ever notice how nobody remembers the names of the guys before me? He gave a dry chuckle. That's 'cause the cemetery took them. And when it does, the names vanish everywhere else. Like they never had a mailman, never had a mother. Gone. I almost dropped the receiver. Then why give me this job? You answered, he said. His voice had gone hollow, like the line was stretching across more than distance. It only hires the ones who answer. My blood turned to ice. Answer. Rule 3. Do not answer if you hear your name. I'd slipped last night. Just one word. Mom, and that had been enough. On the other end of the line, something scratched. Not background noise, not static. Claws dragging down wood. Kettle? He exhaled a wheeze that could have been a laugh or a sob. Shouldn't have answered the phone either, boy. Rule never said who was calling. The line went dead. I lowered the receiver, fingers numb. The office was too quiet. The ledger sat open again, ink still bleeding. Caretaker answered twice. Reservation confirmed. I slammed the book shut and backed away, heart galloping. Through the office window, Fog curled thick around the little white fence on the hill. A dark shape moved inside it, upright, waiting. The index card crumpled in my fist. I didn't know if I was supposed to be keeping the rules anymore, or if the cemetery was just letting me run out the clock. Outside, a lamp flickered once, twice, 3 times, then went dark, and this time no bulb in the world could have fixed it. When the lamp by the hill died, the rest of them followed. One by one, the cemetery plunged into darkness. The fog glowed faintly, but it wasn't sunlight. It was something sour, a backlight for shadows. I told myself not to look at the hill. Rule 6 was etched into my skull. Do not look at the hill between 1:13 to 1:17 a.m. Problem was, it wasn't 1:13 anymore. The rule didn't say what to do if the hill called at other times, and it was calling. A low vibration thrummed through the earth, pulling me forward. The little white fence glimmered, sharp as teeth. Beyond it, the figure I'd glimpsed before wasn't waiting anymore. It was pacing, upright, tall, with the unmistakable swing of arms. Not an animal, not fully human either. I gripped the salt tin in one hand and a flashlight in the other. The beam barely cut through the mist, but it was enough to see paw prints running circles around my feet. Fresh, fast. Like something was sprinting laps around me but invisible. From the hill came a bark. Rocket's bark, but deeper, jagged, broken in half. The leash coiled around my ankle again, yanking me forward. "No," I hissed and threw salt down in a wide arc. The prince hesitated at the line, but the leash didn't let go. It dragged until my shin banged against a headstone. The stone bore my name again. Same polished granite, same date of death. Today. But the detail was different. Now it read the exact time. 1:17 a.m. My watch buzzed. The second hand ticked over to 1:15. 2 minutes. I scrambled backward, salt scattering from my shaking hands. My flashlight stuttered, battery dying. The leash tugged harder. The hill's humming grew teeth, gnawing at my bones. Then, 3 sharp knocks rattled the office door behind me. I spun. The white cat sat there, tail curled neatly. One green eye, one blue, gleaming like traffic lights. It scratched the door again, deliberate. I'd left the ledger inside. The rules screamed through my head. Don't answer. Don't pet. Don't dig. Don't look. Don't. But the white cat was the only thing that ever left paw prints in ink instead of dirt. The only thing that had kept me from losing it completely. And its eyes weren't asking. They were ordering. I bolted for the office. The leash slithered off my leg like it had only been testing me. I slammed the door behind me and locked it. The ledger lay open, waiting. The cat hopped onto the desk and pressed its paw to the page. Ink spread in quick strokes. Stay inside until the hour passes. My watch ticked to 1:16. The office walls shivered, the windows fogging over from the outside. A shape leaned against the glass, tall, long-limbed, tilting its head in jerks too fast to be human. Its face smeared against the pane, leaving streaks like wet fur. My name scraped across the glass in a dozen voices at once. Jamie, Jamie, Jamie. The watch ticked louder than my heart. 1:17. The cemetery went silent. Even the whispers cut out. The figure on the glass melted backward into fog, leaving only smears. The ledger wrote one last line in ink before the cat closed it with its paw. Your reservation has been delayed. When the clock struck 1:18, the world crawled back into motion. Crickets chirped again. The lamps blinked on like nothing had happened. The fog thinned. The cat jumped down from the ledger, tail flicking like punctuation. Then it was gone, slipping through the crack of the door I swear I hadn't opened. I sat in the chair until my legs stopped feeling like jello. The words burned on the page. Your reservation has been delayed. Not canceled. Not erased. Delayed. The cemetery hadn't given up. It had just hit snooze. At dawn, I forced myself back outside. The hill looked harmless now, dew on the grass. the little white fence glowing like chalk in sunlight. But I knew what I'd seen. The pacing figure, the smears on the glass, my own name carved into stone. I checked the rows, counted the graves. The extra one with my name was gone. Just soft earth there, no stone, no proof. If I'd dreamed it, then I'd been dreaming since the day I was born. The salt lines I'd laid down were scattered, paw prints smeared. A breeze rattled the chimes above Miggy. Good boy. For once they sounded like normal wind. Almost normal. Back in the office, the ledger was waiting again. A new page had written itself overnight. Caretaker passed first trial. Reservation deferred. Next trial pending. I slammed it shut and shoved it in the desk drawer. Then I threw the desk drawer key into the trash. But even as I did it, I knew the book didn't need a key. The cat would open it again, and I would read it, because that's what caretakers do. Before I left for the day, I found Mr. Kettle's number still scrawled on the corkboard. I dialed it one more time, hand sweating. Static answered. Then his voice, thin and far away. "You lasted longer than me. Means it likes you." "I don't want it to like me," I shouted. "I want out." A pause, then quieter. "You don't get out, boy. Not unless it's finished with you. Best you can do is follow the rules. Every time you don't, it writes you closer. The hill only buries what it's promised." The static swelled until my ears rang. Then, silence. That night, I almost didn't come back. Almost packed a bag and drove until the gas tank hit E. But some things stick. Rent. Fear. The thought that if I left, the cemetery might come find me anyway. So here I am, locking the gate at sundown, lamps flickering on. Rules card in my pocket, already damp with sweat. I'm learning them by heart now, every line carved into me like headstone etchings. But when the time comes, when the cemetery finally calls in my reservation, I wonder if even the rules will save me.